Welcome back to the Cordless Vacuum Guide. So I just completed testing another wet-dry vacuum from ILIFE, the W100, which is their first wet-dry cordless stick vacuum. The difference between the W100 and the other two wet-dry vacuums I've tested previously is that this model has a cycle for drying floors. I'll also introduce a new test where I use a heat gun to dry Coke and red wine stains to check how well the W100 cleans these blemishes and, more importantly, its efficiency. Hopefully this new test will help determine which wet-dry vacuum will perform best on these sticky stains. I've put this product through my usual series of tests, and these are torture tests to check how well it holds up to large messes. There's a lot to unpack, so let's get into it. The W100 is one of ILIFE's latest and their first cordless wet-dry vacuum. It possesses similar features as the Roborock Dyad and Dreame H11, but with one major difference. The W100 has a trigger for the sprayer, so consumers can use this product like a traditional stick or upright vacuum on unsealed floors for cleaning dry debris. This variant has another advantage: it can completely dry floors after the wet cycle. One issue with a fixed wet-dry system employed by Roborock and Dreame is it tends to leave liquid residue on the surface. This won't be an issue with the W100 since you can pick up this residue during the closing passes with the sprayer off. The W100 has a twin water tank system with a 600 ml clean water tank and a 500 ml dirty water tank. It has a single roller system for agitating stains and picking up wet and dry messes. An advanced LED display shows various information like battery status, power modes, and more. It also has a voice prompt that provides an audible alert for tasks such as emptying the dirty water tank or refilling the clean water tank.
Empty dirty water tank.
Think of it as an assistant reminding you to do these things as needed. But this feature isn't turned on by default. You'll have to press this button behind the vacuum to engage this feature.
Voice off.
The W100 also comes with a charging dock with slots for the extra roller and cleaning brush. The textured base helps clean the roller during a self-cleaning cycle, but consumers won't be able to access the self-cleaning cycle without the vacuum on the dock, so keep that in mind. These handle controls provide easy access to the two different power settings without bending over, but please note that the sprayer won't function straight away. Consumers will have to squeeze this button underneath to activate the water sprayer. The plus to this feature is more control with when to use the wet function, but at the cost of arm and wrist fatigue for larger mopping jobs. It has a 3000 mAh lithium-ion battery with a rated runtime of 30 minutes at the default setting. ILIFE says the W100 has a rated suction of 5000 pascals at the default and 6000 pascals at the max setting. I did an airflow test and it got 16.75 CFM and 18.52 CFM at the low and max settings respectively. These results are close to the more expensive Roborock Dyad and Dreame H11 Max I tested previously. But high airflow isn't a must-have for these wet-dry vacuums since the roller does most of the heavy lifting with wet and dry debris pickup. And this brings me to the first thing I like, which is the separate wet and dry functionality. Unlike the previous wet-dry vacuums I've tested, the W100's wet and dry function is separate, meaning the water sprayer doesn't function until you squeeze this button. I like this feature because it enables consumers to use this as a traditional vacuum, even on unsealed floors. Just make sure that the roller isn't damp. I tried it on my unsealed floors and got most of these efficiently, except for heavy stuff like sand and pet litter, probably because of the softer roller texture, but for lighter debris, it won't be an issue. The on-demand nature of the water sprayer gives consumers more control over water disbursement. This feature also allows for a dry cycle, helping consumers dry floors after cleaning spills or stains. This isn't possible with Roborock and Dreame since you cannot turn off the sprayer. Its ability to pick up huge liquid messes is another pro, but it won't be as efficient and the passes won't be as clean. You'll need to do more passes to clean this type of mess. The self-cleaning cycle does an excellent job at keeping the rollers clean even after big messes, but there may be some buildup in the areas around it. The large capacity clean and dirty water tanks mean fewer trips to the sink for refills and disposals. Also, the dirty water tank is easy to clean with its open design, so there is no need to use a brush. Using a sprayer will be enough to dislodge dirt and keep debris from building up. This variant is also one of the least expensive cordless wet-dry vacuums available, cheaper than the other brands I've tested. Lastly, the handle weight is light, and the handle control placement makes it ergonomic. The fixed tube steering also enables the W100 to be self-standing even without a charging base. But this feature comes at the expense of steering, as it won't be as sharp and vertical steering will be difficult. This brings me to the things I dislike, and a shallow turning radius is the first. While the handle feel is light, the steering isn't sharp. As I've said, the tubular steering module limits the turning radius, making sharp turns impossible. Vertical steering, I feel, is a critical component for these types of wet dry vacuums, since you'll be moving a lot of furniture around, and the product's ability to steer around tight quarters will be a vital aspect. The next issue during the tests is its tendency to leave residue after the forward pass. It could be an issue with the seal behind the roller or the fluffier material covering the solid roller frame. I noticed that the W100 roller has a softer texture, which could be why it didn't pick up as cleanly during the initial passes. But it's not a deal breaker for me, since it's possible to clean the residue with the succeeding passes. It will just take more work to pick up everything. The fluffier nature of the roller makes the W100 less efficient with cleaning dry stains, as it took several more passes to clear the Coke and red wine stains versus a product with stiffer rollers that took fewer passes. Lastly is the noise, which is an issue with most cordless wet dry vacuums. The W100 maxed out at over 74 decibels in the max setting, and here's what it sounds like. Next, I'll look at some of the quirks that can be annoying. The first quirk is the loose nature of the filter. It just sits over the dirty water tank without any locking mechanism, and it comes off when you flip it over. Not a big deal if you're aware of it, but it can be irritating. Also, debris will seep through the mesh filter if you're cleaning dry dirt, so you'll need to check the filter often. Last quirk for me is the LED screen orientation, which will face backward when you're using this product. Despite the flaws and quirks I mentioned, the ILIFE W100 is an excellent option considering its budget level price. It won't be as efficient as more expensive brands with debris pickup, but the separate wet-dry functions will help leave a drier surface with fewer watermarks. Yes, it will take more passes, but if you don't mind the extra work and steering limitations, the W100 is something to consider, especially for budget-conscious shoppers. If you've made it this far, I'd like to say thank you and consider giving this video a thumbs up if it's been helpful to you. Check the links below for more information about the ILIFE W100, including the full review. Subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified when I publish new reviews like this, and I have plenty lined up. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.